One of my viewers had suggested that I do a video on the different kinds of hair types. And I was really excited to do this because if we're expected to find the right kind of hair products for our hair, we need to know what kind of hair type we have. And by matching the product to our hair type, we get the best results. First, we also do need to get the lingo straight because there are terms that are thrown around and it can get very, very confusing. So I will be going over scalp type, hair texture, hair density, curl pattern, and porosity cuticle structure. Now, with all of these different categories, you might not fall exactly into one category. So I recommend that you get a piece of paper and a pen and start taking some notes down so you can kind of figure out what kind of hair you have. So the first one, scalp type, that is pretty simple. You've got oily, normal, and dry. So oily, that's where you wash your hair in the morning and by mid to late day, you start noticing that there's some oil coming through now. Dry is if you have a more sensitive and irritated scalp. You may have dry flakes and you may even notice some scalp tension. Normal scalp is when you don't notice any of the above. You could go a few days before noticing any sort of oil starting to come out and your scalp is very, very comfortable. The next category is hair texture. Now, this one is the diameter of your actual hair strand. So the different categories here would be fine, normal, and coarse. So as you can start to see, this can become a little bit confusing. Regardless of your hair type, you're going to want to get your scalp as clean as possible. And what varies is how often you then do have to wash. Fine hair is the smallest diameter. And so that means that this has the least amount of cortex. This hair type is the most fragile and can easily be weighed down with product. Generally, this hair type may need to be washed more often, and it does lack volume and body. Clarifying products benefit all different hair types, but you may want to use these products a little bit more often when you have fine hair. Also, volumizing products are really well suited for this hair type. Medium normal hair has a little bit larger of a diameter, and you could go maybe around 3 to 4 days before maybe needing to wash your hair. It also has a little bit more body and volume. Products on the most part are going to be the same for medium diameter as the fine diameter, but this hair type can hold up a little bit more to like conditioning products, whereas with fine hair that might actually weigh it down more. So coarse hair has the thickest diameter, and it will be the most resistant. It can tend to be frizzier and more unmanageable, and you can go probably 5 or more days without having to wash your hair. Here you're going to want to use more hydrating, moisturizing products. So a couple of unscientific methods of trying to determine what kind of hair type you have as far as its texture is to take one of your hair strands, and pulling it from the back is probably the best because all hair kind of around your face is a little bit finer. So taking that hair strand and comparing it to a sewing thread. And if it feels about the same, then you probably have more coarse hair. Now, another thing that you could do is actually take your strand, and if you run your fingers along it, if you can feel it, you probably have, more medium to coarse hair. But if you can't feel it, then you have fine hair. Another thing you can do is just ask your hairdresser what kind of hair type you have. Hair density is how much hair you actually have on your head. And so again, another unscientific way of measuring this is that if you put your hair in a ponytail and then you measure the circumference of it. Low density would be less than 2 inches. Medium to normal density would be 2 to 3 inches, and then high density would be about 4 inches or more. Another thing you can do is look in the mirror, and if you see through your hair, then you have low density hair. And then if you can't see through it at all, then you have high density. And then medium obviously falls somewhat in the middle. Again, you can ask your hairdresser. Okay, the next one is curl pattern. And this can be complicated, but I'm trying to keep this simple. So completely straight hair is number one. And this isn't broken down into subtypes like the other categories. So as for wavy, curly, then kinky, they're broken down into the 3 subtypes that vary by curl intensity. This is another way to help determine what kind of products to use on your hair and how to care for your hair. One thing I did not know is that curly hair strands are actually more fragile than straight, because at each bend along the way, that is actually a weak point. So I was surprised to hear that. So as you can see, we're all dealing with science projects on the top of our head. And I would have to say I probably have 3 different curl patterns on my head. The next category is porosity, and that's basically the cuticle structure. Now imagine our strand, and the cuticle are like shingles on a roof. Now this is a little bit different than the other categories. Yes, you are born with a certain amount of porosity, but what we do to our hair can increase that porosity. So damage does increase your porosity. Those shingles start to lift, and the hair actually will start drying out. The integrity of your hair will change. You can have different porosity on different parts of your hair. So let's say the top part of your hair you curl more often than say the hair underneath, so it'll be a lot more porous. You can actually even have in one strand the different porosity levels. So if you took a strand again and you felt it along the way, initially it'll be very, very smooth, and then you might notice that it starts getting a little bit bumpier at the ends. And that's normal because the ends of our hair are the oldest and driest part. So as we know, heat, mechanical stress, chemical processes, these all can damage our hair. So please check out this video if you want to hear about the 5 tips I recommend to help prevent hair breakage. Here I'll go into a little bit more detail on what may be damaging your hair. So porosity is the ability of your hair to take up water. So low porosity or resistant hair, it's actually harder to get it wet, and it takes longer for it to dry. So this hair type has a very tight, compact cuticle layer. High porosity, porous or damaged hair, this has the raised cuticles, and it absorbs water more quickly. So your hair will get wet quicker, and it'll also dry very quickly. This hair type could really benefit from rebuilding or bond repair products. So I know I threw a lot at you, but I'm hoping that I helped you determine what kind of hair that you do have, and that will really help you when selecting out products for your hair. If you're interested in a different kind of content from me, please check out my series that I have just done on how to get a closet that works for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it with somebody that you think might be interested in it. Please like, subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.